another Sunday market analysis. I've got 3 pairs to have a look at this week, so I'll get straight into it. So first of all, we are looking at the pound Aussie on a weekly chart. Okay, and what we like here is we've got a nice pin bar. So that's some very nice bullish price action, and it's just come after the week before, which was a doji. So I'll zoom in quickly. So you can see Aussie's had a big push down. So again, just remember this is a weekly chart. So push down, push down, push down, all bearish. Even though it didn't, the close was not so different to the open. It was still price went up, then come back down. A big bearish push, and then a doji. It really pulled that up, and it was interesting to see that doji because that doji, if we look across, was so support, resistance, 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 resistance. Okay, so it's a very, very, very strong horizontal level on a weekly chart, which is significant. So what happened after the doji was this nice pin bar. So this is absolutely what I was waiting for. It's absolutely perfect price action. So the doji pulled the price from falling, and then this pin bar confirmed that price has found some support, some horizontal support, and now we're looking to get long. So what I want is price to come into about a 50%. So this little blue line that I've marked here is 50% retracement of this pin bar, and this little blue line here is a 61.8% retracement of this pin bar. So what I want to do is just have a quick look a little bit deeper into this chart and tell you why I've got some extra confirmation to back this up for a long trade. It's going to drop straight from the weekly down to the H4. We'll just zoom out a little bit. Alright, so there's a fair few things to look at here. So remember, this is a weekly pin bar. So price come through, this is the big line through here, this is weekly horizontal support line. So what I see in here is a left shoulder, and we've got a head. Now I'm anticipating a right shoulder. So we're going to have a heads and shoulders reversal pattern on significant horizontal weekly support. Now what's important is I always like to get a retracement entry. So I've marked this 50% retracement of the weekly pin bar, and I've marked this 61.8% retracement of this weekly pin bar. So if price comes down into these levels, 50% or 61.8, it puts in the anticipated right shoulder. So left shoulder, head, right shoulder on this heads and shoulders pattern. So that will be extra confirmation for our heads and shoulders reversal and our weekly pin bar. So there's 2 points of confluence there. The next one I like to look at is price on the H4 chart has actually come and closed above the 2 previous highs. So we've got a break and a close of the previous fractal highs. So the fact that it's come up and closed higher is a bit more of a bullish signal. So what I'm looking now for is for a higher low. So this is a lower low. Again, if we get a turn around here on the right shoulder, the anticipated right shoulder at 50% or 61.8, that will be a higher low, and then I would expect price to come up and break what we anticipate is the neckline here, roll over, and then continue on to take out this heads and shoulders pattern. Now that's very conservative, because if you zoom back out to the weekly chart, price has got a real potential to push up into these areas, into these pre-Brexit areas in the open. So there's probably 1,000 to 1,500 pips to be had in here. But if we shoot back down to the H4, we're really only chasing at this stage from this 50% retracement up to here. There's 415 conservative pips to be taken out of the market probably this week, but potentially this week and a bit of next week. Okay, so that's what I see in that chart. That's what I really like about that chart. So we've got weekly and we've got H4. We've got some patterns in there. We've got support on a weekly chart. So plenty of good things happening there, guys. So if you can get a nice tight stop on this one and chase those 415 pips, you should get a nice trade. You should be able to get a 40, 45 pip stop on that one. Okay, so we're going to scoot up to US JPY, which is another one that I'm quite keen on this week. All right, so what I want to do, remember on the monthly close, we had a look. So we had a horizontal support resistance line through here. So support, 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 broken, and becomes resistance. So this nice monthly, guys, monthly pin bar, price come all the way up and close back below. It's good bearish price action. Now what made me a little bit nervous, not this week, but last week, the close was below for the monthly, but it did put in this pin bar. I wasn't too worried about it. I was still thinking short overall because monthly trumps the weekly chart. The higher the time frame, the stronger the price action. But what has happened at the close of last week is prices come up and it's rolled over. So it's violated this pin bar completely. So it's really cancelled out that weekly pin bar previously, and it's really confirmed what we think was happening with the monthly pin bar on that resistance area. All right, so now we've got this pin bar for short. So I'm just going to zoom in quickly. I would like to see price come up into the 50% areas of this pin bar and then roll over. Now, the US JPY has got a very tight daily and weekly range on it, so you'll probably be able to get a real nice tight stop, like even in the area of 25 or 30 pips at about this area, this 50% retracement. If we do get that, then we're going to be chasing these fractal lows at the very least. So we're looking at 506. So say, let's call it 500 pips. So if you can get a 40 pip stop on 500 pips, what's that? That's 5% in every 200. That's 5, 10. That is 12.5%. So that's an excellent trade there. Now, one caution that comes with this trade, it is the 11th of June, and we have Trump and Kim Jong talking in Singapore tomorrow. So any US crosses do carry a heightened risk this week just because of the political tension that's existing there. I'm hoping that's all good. I certainly won't be placing any US trades until, we're in Malaysia here, so we're about 30 hours out from probably a news break on what's happening in that meeting. So a good 30, 40 hours until the dust settles on that conversation before we place any US trades. I mean, you guys can do what you want, and there's a real potential for that market to move violently. Just a bit of a caution with the tight stop loss, just because the market might gap, you might not be there watching it, and you might be holding risk that you otherwise wouldn't have wanted to hold. Just because it's an unknown, like normally news events come through, like an interest rate change or the non-farm payrolls or unemployment rates or anything like that. We have an understanding of traders as to what sort of impact, what level of impact that has on the market. But a political event on the level of Trump and Kim Jong having a chat is something that's unanticipated in terms of how it's going to affect the currency market. So I would just be sitting on the sidelines and waiting for that one to play out before I traded any US pairs. But outside of that, guys, technically this is a brilliant trade, so just keep a real close eye on it, and we'll see how that plays out. All right, there's one other one that I want to have a quick look at this week, and this is oil, so WTI crude. All right, so what we've got here is support resistant line, so we've got a horizontal. I'll just draw that quickly, excuse me. So we've got that sitting about there. That's roughly give or take. So we've got resistance, support. Okay, so I'm just going to drop that out, and I just want to show you quickly fractal low, fractal high. Now this is a weekly on oil. We've got a pin bar at the 50% retracement. So I would like to see price just come into these retracement areas and then push long out of there. So I'll grab this. About here, we want to get some price action for long on a daily or a H4. And we just want to come up. We don't want to trade too far into this engulfing bar. It's a very strong engulfing bar, but I would like to trade long to about halfway up to the engulfing bar. The reason I'll show you is that's a weekly engulfing, but on monthly was actually a pin bar. So I'm anticipating price to come up to these 50% retracement levels here and then roll over. I think oil will probably just go very short term long, and then it'll roll over a bit and find some support, more than likely back in these areas, back at around the $60 level. Then we'll look for, I mean, oil is certainly bullish overall, but back when we get to these levels, I think we could chase it long again in a larger time frame. But right for now, I think you got a fairly safe trade just for 300 or 400 pips long. All right, guys, that is my analysis for the week. Just have a look at those, analyze them yourselves, see what you think. It's always good to do your own homework. That's certainly what I see. There's some other ones coming up. They're not quite ready this week, but I'm very keen on Euro USD and Pound JPY, but not quite yet. I reckon the next 1 or 2 or 3 weeks we'll get some decent price action there. All right, guys, as always, I hope you have a great week trading. I wish you all the best. I hope the results are there, and I will talk to you again next Sunday. All right, guys, happy trading. Cheers. Bye.